I'm Philip Daniels.
I'm Joe Cardoza.
I'm Jeff Barnes.
This is The Perspective.
And this is The Perspective.
Welcome to The Perspective.
Welcome to The Perspective. I am Jeff Barnes, and that is the man, the myth, the legend himself. It's the AJ Jones in the house. Phil will most likely not be here with us tonight. And Joe is still on assignment. Okay. Joe will be back next week.
Yeah.
So you get to see his smiling face back in the host chair. And
I saw that.
Back to being a panelist. So excited about that. It's been a real interesting free agency. That's gonna be our first topic. But AJ, I mean, this has been the most unconventional month I've seen.
Yeah, truly that, man. I mean, so just the movement this year, unlike other years in the past, this has been crazy, man. It's like every day, like, okay, who's going where? Who's going where?
And not for big bucks. That's the big.
Right.
That's the one that really kills me. It's like, usually the first 2 weeks of agency, all the whoppers, you go, whoa, he signed for what? He signed for what? Not so much this year. We had a couple of big signings in the beginning, and then it kind of died down. And even the mid-level guys are slowly coming off. We're seeing a lot of the cheaper contracts, the 1 and 2 year deals getting offered now. So real interesting. So we're already on topic. So we're just going to jump right into the first topic, which is, as I'm calling it, diet free agency, since they seem to not want to spend money this year. I mean, what is going on? This has got to be literally the Coke Zero of free agency. We've seen a couple of big signings, and after that, it's been a little bit here, a little bit there. We've seen, you're going to make a trade for a quarterback. Whoa, let's get the price right. Oh, we tagged you. Well, we tagged you with the chance for teams to offer you, and teams are going, whoa, you're a little too rich for my blood. What is with teams not spending money this year?
No, I think that this was predictable. When you look at what Cleveland did with Deshaun Watson, this was predictable, especially, for the quarterback spot. People don't want to put that fully guaranteed contract out there in the market, but it's out there. And, oh, yeah, by the way, it wasn't put out there with Deshaun in Cleveland. It was put out there with Kirk Cousins and Minnesota. So, again, folks are trying to keep that market below a level than they want to go, and they are holding these free agent quarterbacks' feet to the fire of, no, we're not going to give you that, i.e. situation going on with Lamar Jackson. Call it collusion, call it whatever you want. You're right, but they are determined not to let that fully guaranteed big money contract be the norm, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins with the back-to-back fully guaranteed contracts, not anywhere near what Deshaun Watson got, but nevertheless, they were back-to-back guaranteed deals.
Right.
Lamar wants something closer to Watson, maybe more. He'll take the Mahomes deal with more guaranteed money than Watson. I understand all that. I think they should pay him. I don't think that the way this is going is productive for them, Lamar, or the franchise. Because if you're going to treat your franchise player like this, the guy who's done all the stuff for you, what are you going to do if I'm that receiver? What are you going to do if I'm that pass rusher? Granted, you just gave the linebacker $100 million, right? But how much of that is guaranteed? Not as much as people think, right?
Right.
So I get it. Guaranteed money is what's making the deal these days, not the overall deal. Players have caught on to the fact that I may not even make it to the last year of that deal. So why would I want to sign a deal like that? Just give me the guaranteed money. If you cut me halfway through, I got a good chunk of the bag. I'm good. And we're not seeing that.
Yeah, down here in Houston, Laramie Tunsil, one of the better left tackles in the business. $75 million extension, $60 million of that fully guaranteed. So he didn't get fully guaranteed deal. And from what I've been told, you want to pay your left tackle that big money so that you can lock that position down for your quarterback. So, I feel like there is a number that is in the head of the owners and then has been transferred down to the GMs where you're not going above this number in guaranteed money. And unfortunately, Lamar's expectations are above that. There are other players who have expectations above that, and they're not budging. They're not budging. And what's interesting is you're not hearing anything out of the Cleveland camp. You're not hearing Cleveland say a word because they did what they did. They said what they said, and they're just not going to get in the middle of other people's stuff. And rumor is that the owners are not happy, that deal is still out there. I mean, what do they, there was talk that, he was willing to restructure it so that they can get some more free agents, some guys that wanted to come and play in Houston, but it's still a fully guaranteed deal. So, what can you do?
I mean, it's fully guaranteed. I mean, the only thing you could do is move money around from one year to the next, but you really can't do a lot with it. I mean,
right.
You think with, if you think of the restructures, they add on a bonus, they convert that salary to a bonus, and then they spread that year out throughout the life of the deal. So they add the extra year on. Can you do that with his? Add an extra year on, and make it a bonus and change the salary, part of the salary to probably. Doesn't really help you any. You guarantee the money anyway.
Right.
So it's semantics. You could try kicking the can down the road a little, but I think if they're going to pay that quarterback that much money, they better hit in the draft. They've had plenty of good guys in the draft. They've had plenty of misses in the draft. So it's up to Cleveland to keep hitting in the draft and saying the cheaper, younger guys was going to help us win along with this quarterback. We got a couple of veterans. You took on Amari Cooper's contract. That's one you should have restructured. So that was the big deal right there. Not so much Watson. You guaranteed money, but you could have taken Dallas got rid of that contract for a reason.
Correct.
Correct. You could have done so many things with Cooper's money, unless you don't think Cooper's going to be worth much by the end of that contract. So that's the caveat in that situation. Lamar, I mean, this situation alone, like I said, I think he made one mistake in this. And I think the mistake was saying, I requested a trade. You don't do it in this situation. In this situation when you're tagged, don't request a trade. The most powerful thing a player can say when it comes to the tag is, I'm not signing the tag.
Okay.
Right. And I think that's what he messed up, is saying, I requested a trade. You put the ball in Baltimore's court. You give them power in the situation. It may feel like you're taking leverage back, but you're not really taking leverage back because they have the right to send you where they want to at that point.
Right. That's
whatever
true.
Team. So you're not really giving them more power than they should have. You want to take it totally away? Make me a deal, or I'm not showing up. I'm not signing this tag. I will gladly sit out this year, and whatever happens to you happens to you. You should have paid me. I played for you on a. You are willing to take that risk again? So, this is what I hit with Le'Veon Bell did it in Pittsburgh. Right. We seen Des Bryant do it in Dallas, and what happened with Des?
Mm-hmm.
They signed his deal. He got his money.
Yeah,
and plenty of guys have done that. I'm not signing. Then all of a sudden, but we get to that deadline where you can't argue anymore. You get your deal.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask. I mean, technically, he could still do that.
He still could.
And I'm in agreement with you on you kind of show your hand too soon when you make a statement that I requested a trade, because you've got the best of all tags. You've got the tag where somebody can come in and sign you to a deal knowing that Baltimore doesn't want to go above a certain number. So, in basketball, we call it the poison seed deal, where, you overpay a Ryan Anderson, or you overpay, a marginal guy, knowing that team is not going to match it. And now you've got your guy. But I don't know if that's going to happen with Lamar, but he still has the ability to sit out and force the hand of the Baltimore Ravens. But this is just me. I'm not hearing it from anybody or anything like that. I'm starting to feel like this thing is almost hitting that point where it's untenable, where it just will not be reconciled. And if it gets to that, then it's just a matter of moving it as quickly as possible. Because, again, down here in Houston, we saw a young man go out to practice every single day and then be inactive for come game time, and it just happened for an entire year. It was the worst thing for all parties involved.
Yeah. Granted, the situation he had off the field made it a lot easier for them to keep him off the field, but it was a totally, it's a situation where he actually was under contract and said, I want it out. Here's the situation where I'm tagged. I don't have anything past this year.
Right.
And I want out of here. And once again, I think you just give the team way too much leverage in the situation. Yep. They can really say, okay, well, you want out, we'll give you out. But then you got to go somewhere else and argue another deal. The whole point is to get the bag. If that's the case, I'm not signing and I'm not coming in. And after a couple of weeks of going, this team ain't the same without Lamar.
Right.
Negotiations tend to heat up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We already did the playoffs. We saw they couldn't win in the playoffs without him. Not for lack of trying, but they weren't going that far in the playoffs without Lamar Jackson. They barely made the playoffs without Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things where I just think he showed his hand too early. I wouldn't have said trade. I would have just said, okay, we're playing it this way. You still lowballing me. Guess what, guys? I'm not signing. So you got a choice. Pay me, or I'm going to enjoy myself in Cocoa Beach, watching this on the tube.
Right. And if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, I'm kind of keeping my eye on that as well. You got a very strong number 4 pick. You've got some other picks in this draft, and you've got picks, in the next draft that you can let Baltimore get in there. You get your man, because they like to take on other people's quarterbacks and try and make them do what they do, i.e. Phillip Rivers and Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan. So, finally get you somebody that you can really build that team around, man. Can you imagine Lamar Jackson, Jonathan Taylor, and that offensive line that they got? Come on, man. Come on.
Only caveat with that, Irsay's already come out and said, I'll pay him, just not the guaranteed money. I don't like spending all that guaranteed money. And if there's one thing I trust him to say when he believe what he says, is that right there.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. I believe that. I believe that.
He is definitely a trickle down guy. So moving on to topic number 2. So we keep coming back to this name, and everybody talked about it weeks ago. Oh, it's going to happen. He's going to be there. Here we are weeks later, and yet we're still playing the waiting game. Unbelievable that Aaron Rodgers is still a Packer right now. After all this talk, the Jets are into their guns. They don't want to give up the ones. The Packers are saying we're not giving them up for anything less than ones, or at least 1-1. So this is a stalemate that's been going on for a while, and the Jets kind of painted themselves in a predicament here. Right. But I'm going to let you talk about it first.
No, you said it. I think Woody Johnson got ahead of his skis, got overexcited, mouth got a little loose, and now the leverage is all in Green Bay. It's all up in Wisconsin. So they've told you what you want. If that's who you want and you're willing to put up with everything that goes with it, pay the team. Give them what they want. Yeah. If not, then you're in the waiting game. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you don't have a lot to wait with. You don't have a lot to wait with. If you think that your team was as close as the Jets fans and the organization feels like they were, and this is the guy to get you to that next step, that now you're competing with Buffalo, now you're competing with New England, now you're competing with Kansas City and other teams at the top of the AFC. Well, guess what? You got to pay to play, and I believe that the art of negotiation was something that he either slept through or skipped, because they messed this up as much as they possibly could. They hurt themselves with this one. This deal could have been done, but now we are, like you said, we're in a staring match. We're in a standoff, and we're waiting. When is this deal going to get done?
It's interesting because I've never seen give away all the leverage. Right? It's like sitting down at a high stakes poker game and basically giving your opponent mirrors to cheat and look at your hand, because you're sitting there. You said, okay, we have options. We could get Derek Carr. We can get Jimmy G. We could do so many things with these other quarterbacks that we don't have to wait on Aaron. We're going to go kick the tires on Aaron, but we don't have to do it. We had dinner with Carr. We wined him. We dined him. He's ours if we want him. We sat him down for deal, sit down and talk numbers with him. And Green Bay, okay, you want him? Ones. Yeah. And they told Derek Carr, no, we're going to wait on Aaron. So Carr goes to New Orleans. Free agency starts. They don't even call Jimmy G. Where does he end up? Vegas.
Yep.
So now the quarterbacks that you could get to compete with that situation, the leverage that you have, are gone. So now you're basically all in on Aaron Rodgers. You can't go with a young quarterback in the draft because you need a veteran for the guys that you're bringing in, for the guys you already got there. So you're in a situation where now Green Bay is just going to sit there and wait you out. Well, you want them once, and they're going to sit back and wait while you sit there and stew and come back to them with offer. And until it's the ones that they're looking for, Aaron Rodgers is going to sit in his little man cave and talk to Pat McAfee and wait to see where he goes. And the New York Jets are going to sweat this out. You're going to go, you're 3 weeks away from the draft, basically 4 weeks really, but 3 weeks away from the draft. And you haven't gotten this deal done.
Yeah.
How can you go into the draft without this deal done? What happens if you go into the draft? Then you lose even more leverage because the pick that you could have traded to get him is gone.
Right. Is gone. Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
So yeah, this is a real mess. And it's so New York Jets. This is something the Jets always. I 40-something years of living in New York, and the Jets always seem to find a way to pull up something like this. You know, and they've had great players in their franchise history, and I've watched some great teams. But they always make that one move that makes you go, huh? What? You know, and right now they got you shaking your head. What are you guys doing? If you want them, go get them.
Well, I'm not a dominoes player, but this is what I heard now. They said if you study long, you study wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Jets did on this one. That's exactly what they did. And it just makes you wonder about this organization. You know, we've joked about, we've laughed about, we've said tongue in cheek, you know, they're one of the worst run organizations. Well, guess what? It's not joke anymore. It's truth. You can see they are not used to these kind of negotiations. You know, folks want to talk about the Brett Favre. It wasn't any big negotiation. You know, Brett didn't have a whole lot of options, and he wanted you, y'all wanted him, and y'all made it work. But think about that. When it came to big-time quarterbacks, when has the New York Jets organization ever negotiated and out-negotiated anyone else to get a big-time quarterback? And in fact, when's the last time they had a big-time quarterback? And you can't use the name Joe Namath. I'm waiting.
Man, you can't really say that. I mean, unless you want to say Boomer Esiason in the last years of his career, you know, you really can't. I don't consider Testaverde a big-time quarterback. I wouldn't say Ken O'Brien was, although he was part of the class of '83. You know, we can go down the list. You know, Brett Favre was at the end of his career. They haven't had it. Not since they, not my opinion.
So when you go in and negotiate for a Hyundai, it's different than going in and negotiating for an upper class vehicle. And they are in an upper class negotiation, and they're fumbling the ball, man. They're fumbling the ball. They might get the keys, but it's gonna cost them more than it should.
Yeah, well, they definitely can't go in there for a Lexus with Infinity money. They can't.
No,
not with. Excuse me, with Toyota money. Excuse me, not even. not even. You can't go in there. You can't go in there with Toyota money looking for.
There you go.
It don't work that way.
There you go. Yep.
And good luck. I mean, Joe Douglas, man. I don't know. Maybe he's really trying to play a serious game of poker. It ain't working so far, brother. I'm sorry.
It is not.
It ain't working.
Not.
Oh Two topics down, one more to go. It's freestyle. I am Jeff Barnes. That is Mr. AJ Jones. We'll be right back with more of the perspective. Hang tight, everybody.
In 2006, we founded Yeti Coolers with a simple mission: build the cooler we use every day if it existed. One that was built for the serious outdoor enthusiasts rather than for mass discount retailers. One that could take the abuse we knew we'd put it through, out in the field and on the water. One that simply wouldn't break. We decided early on that production innovation would come from necessity and first-hand experience, not from market research and data analysis. Today, Yeti products perform when it matters most. Whether that be an excursion into the remote Alaskan wilderness, chasing redfish on the Gulf Coast, or just getting together with friends in the backyard, we make gear that helps you stay out longer, travel farther, and live harder. Hashtag built for the wild.
Hey football fans, we have a great offer for you from one of our newest partners, FanDuel Sportsbook. Sign up now for a new FanDuel account by using our special link located in the description, and you will get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000. That means that you can bet up to $1,000 on your first wager risk-free. FanDuel will give you the amount you wagered back in free bets if you lose. So go ahead and bet on your favorite team this Sunday, and even if they lose, you are taken care of. To claim this special offer, just click the link in the description and create a new account. Then, make your first bet on whatever you like. That's it. Win some money at FanDuel today.
He gives me a lot of Allen Iverson vibes.
And think about how Harden, Westbrook, and KD have shook up the league.
A different kind of basketball up here. We call that a play on.
There is no trade market for Russell Westbrook. No one's interested in him.
He might be a great assistant, but like so many coaches in the NFL, great coordinator, not so great as a head coach.
And we are back with more of the perspective. Jeff Barnes and Mr. AJ Jones in the house. So, I'm going to talk a bit. And we're going to talk about one Junior, the longest free agents on the market. We know he tried to last year, at late in the year. Teams weren't comfortable with his physical situation. He's now out there working out for teams. Got finally, here in April, has offers on the table. Real offers, not figment, not fictional ones, not hypothetical ones. I mean, actual proposals from NFL teams. So, how do you feel about OBJ finally getting, and where does he land?
I'm glad. I'm happy for him because if you remember the last time we saw him play, he got hurt on the biggest stage, man. And that to me was just the toughest way to go out. Still got his ring, but again, I'm happy to see OBJ back whenever it happens. What's interesting is a lot of folks are talking about being in Baltimore. Well, they ain't got a quarterback yet, do they? So it's going to be very interesting. I'm glad that there are physical offers in hand and that he's got some choices to make. But it's going to be good to see him back out there on the field. I, for one, am happy about that. I'm not an OBJ fan. I just respect the man's game. I respect his hustle, and I would love to see him back out there. Question of where, I don't know. Like I said, my folks are telling me it's going to be Baltimore. I don't know.
Yeah, Baltimore is one of the offers. The Jets are one of the offers, and somehow, some way, the Rams are in the mix. They should have kept him if they want to make an offer now. That's my opinion.
Agreed.
I don't think he goes back there at this point. I think their whole run is over, and I think he knows that. He just chases paper in this situation, which some guys kind of do. I think overall, it's going to be more to be the Jets, because this whole Lamar situation doesn't seem to be solvable anytime soon. I don't see him signing before Lamar goes there, because if Lamar's not there, he's not going to want to play. He's not going to do the whole Baker Mayfield situation again, where he doesn't trust the quarterback, and he's going to do that. He may go to the Jets because they have a loaded team and they have a chance of doing something. And if they have a decent quarterback, they'll probably find ways to get him the football. However, However, again, you're talking about possibly going back to your young quarterback who you said couldn't lead the locker room, and possibly a journeyman veteran if you don't close this Aaron Rodgers deal. So once again, that comes back to, is Aaron going to be there if he signs? So I think overall in the end, it'll probably be the Jets, unless, like I said, he chases the paper and just takes the highest offer he gets. Baltimore, I think, is a real option. But once again, who's throwing him the football? If it's not Lamar,
right?
What is it about?
Right.
So, yeah. It's an interesting situation. He had a chance to go after a ring last year. He wasn't ready, and he knew it. And he knew it. He just wanted to try and get the bag before he hit free agency this year, and I don't blame him. But it was a nice gamble. It didn't work out for him. Yeah. Now you got to earn your money. Now you got to show people you could run, and he's starting to do that. So he can act butthurt about it. But I'm sorry, I don't know too many owners that want to give you money to sit on the bench and rehab. They don't do that. The old expression is, you don't make the club in the tub. So that wasn't going to happen. It was nice to think that he could pull it off with name only, but it wasn't going to happen.
Well, for the longest, they thought down here that Dallas was going to pull it off. Supposedly him and Jerry are personal friends, and they thought that was going to happen. But whatever didn't happen, it didn't happen. So the Dallas thing kind of dried up. But it would have been kind of nice to see him and CeeDee Lamb and some of those other receivers catching passes from Dak Prescott. Now, Dak would have loved that as well. But, again, Baltimore without Lamar, I don't think happens. The Jets without Aaron, does that happen? I mean, if those are his only two real offers, and of course the Rams, and man, what in the world happened to them overnight? It's like Matthew Stafford forgot how to play, the line forgot how to block, a whole lot of the defense forgot how to defend. I mean, it was a tough year for them last year. So I just want to see the young man back out on the field and see him doing his thing.
Forget those picks hits different when you can't afford to keep everybody.
Yeah.
Retire it, and you can't draft because you don't have all your draft picks.
Yep.
That happened to the Rams. It was screw those picks when they were trying to sell out for that chip. They got the chip.
Right.
And all of a sudden, money came due for a lot of guys.
Oh, man.
You had a retirement that you couldn't fill any other way. The guy that backed him up got hurt. You couldn't replace him. All of a sudden, kicking the can down the road, as everybody likes to say. Keyshawn says that a lot in the morning. So you can just kick the can down the road. Yeah, well, what happens is eventually the road runs out. There's no more road to kick this can, and it comes back at you. Or it goes off a cliff, even worse. All right. So there's at some point you got to deal with the can. Right. Mm-hmm. And it went off a cliff. Plain and simple. They kept kicking the can down the road. They ran out of road. It went over the cliff. And all of a sudden, it was a fall off.
Right.
That's how it goes. A lot of teams have done that. Oh, yeah, we're going to pay out guys. You start paying guys, and you start dealing picks to fill a hole quickly with a veteran player. And eventually, everybody wants their money. You win a Super Bowl, everybody wants their money.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Everybody wants their money in general. But you win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
All of a sudden, I was a key piece, even if I was only a special teamer.
Right.
Even if I was only a nickelback.
Right.
I played in 20% of the snaps on defense, and I'm a free agent this year. But I wore that helmet, and I played in those 20 snaps, and I look good in 20 snaps. I'm ready to be a starter and make starter money somewhere. There's nothing wrong with a player chasing the bag.
Right.
As we've seen, the owners will snatch it away real fast. So
that's true.
You'll get your money. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why we draft. That's why we do all that stuff. That's why we have free agency where you go, you know what? We don't need to pay this guy big money. Let him go to free agency. We'll bring in a veteran for 2 years at an equitable deal. We'll draft well, and we'll fill the holes that way. And we'll still maintain the nucleus of our team. Teams that do that tend to do very well. Teams that decide to overspend, eventually chickens come home to roost.
Mm-hmm.
It came home to roost with the Rams.
Yeah. What's interesting with Odell Beckham, there are two teams that I'm surprised didn't give him serious consideration. And it's not over yet. He hadn't signed with anybody. But Buffalo is one, and Minnesota is the other. Buffalo and Minnesota are two teams that I would have thought would have shown some interest in him, as, definitely a number 2 if he still has that. But as a slot receiver, man, I'm telling you, those could have, and they've got question marks in those areas because Buffalo, if you remember, they didn't end on a good note with their receiver and their quarterback. That did not end on a very good note. And not to say that you could replace one with the other. You can't replace what Buffalo had with an Odell Beckham Jr. But adding that too, it could have been very interesting. Minnesota could be very interesting. Cincinnati could be very interesting when you add another option to a quarterback like a Joe Burrow.
I'm going to say something interesting about that. And when you look at the teams that were in on him during the end of that season, right? The Giants, the Cowboys, the Bills, all those teams. We have a playoff time. We need to have a playoff push. Well, they had all that chances at them right now. Buffalo, we've seen Buffalo. They're already going, we got to start being smart with the cap. We got the quarterback. We got all these guys got to pay. We want to keep Diggs. And they let their safety walk. And they found out he wasn't getting a high price. They brought him back. Yeah, so they're going around and going, okay, yeah, we're testing the market because if we can get guys back at an economical amount,
right,
then we'll do that. If you're getting too much money, then we'll just let you walk. They lost the middle linebacker. Too much money for us. We're going to let you go, bro. No, we can't pay you that much. All right. So Dallas, once they got Brandon Cooks, they went
right.
We got it done. Yeah, we got it done, and we got it done cheap. You want 18, 16, 17, 8 million, 20 million. Nope. So that's the whole thing, right? The Giants, you want that much money? We'll go another way. Right?
Yeah.
So he's getting money. I don't think teams are gonna not pay him a decent amount. I think he's getting between 12 and 14 mil from what I'm hearing.
That's the number. That's the number to me. The 15 to 20 was thank you but no thank you. But 12 to 14, and again fitting in with a receiving core that has a couple of leaks, a couple of holes, or a quarterback that just needs one more really good target. Yeah, I'm paying that.
Yeah. So it makes sense, right? So I kind of got why those other teams did their own thing.
Gotcha.
So they found an economical way to get a quality talent to help their team other ways. Like I said, Dallas, once they got Cooks, we got a guy that takes the top off of defense. He can do a little something else. We expect Michael Gallup to come back healthier and better than he was last year. CD broke out. Okay, we got a bunch of young tight ends. We're fine. And we got a young receiver that we drafted last year too. So I think they're looking at it that way and saying, we got a guy who comes in, doesn't kill us in the cap. He's going to be fine as long as he fits in what we do. And he takes the top off, which is something we didn't have last year. T.Y. Hilton was the only guy that came in and did that for him. So kudos to them for that. So I think OBJ's market, like I said, the Baltimore thing, heaven forbid he goes there and Lamar isn't there. See,
right.
That's where the paper chase gets you in trouble. So you go to Baltimore, you say he does get the bag from Baltimore, and he goes to Baltimore and Lamar doesn't play. He's either traded or he sits. And you're putting up the numbers you need. You're getting all this money. And you know what happens? Once you come in there, you don't meet expectations, and teams start looking at you and go, okay, well, can we cut him next year? Can we trade him? Can we do something with him? Because we can move that money off the books since he's not really producing to what we thought he was going to do. So why would you set yourself up for that? It doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. But, I mean, clearly he wants to play.
Yeah.
Clearly he wants to play.
I don't blame him for wanting to play.
At all.
Do it. Do it if you're healthy. Do it while you still love it. Because when it's gone, it's gone.
It is gone. It is gone. And again, I'm never wanted to go talk about somebody else's money or anything like that. But $12, $14 million to play a sport that you love to play. Get your money, man. Get your money and enjoy doing what you're doing. Again, him in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. would be great. Him in New York with Rodgers as a quarterback would be interesting.
Yes, with that young
So,
receiver.
yeah. So we'll see. We'll definitely see.
Well, it's that portion of the show. It's time for the freestyle segment for our perspectives. So, what is your perspective this week, AJ?
Man, I am a firm believer that you got to keep it simple, stupid. And I don't normally say that word because in my house growing up, as a little boy, that was like a cuss word. Don't tell nobody to shut up and don't call them stupid. I'm saying that to Nick Caserio, general manager of the Houston Texans. Published reports are saying that the Texans are not locked in to a quarterback at number 2 and that they may take, a very good edge rusher, whether they get the rusher out of Alabama, whether they get the young man out of Texas Tech. I get it. But you got a chance to get one of the quarterbacks that is coming out of that draft that can change your franchise around, whether it be C.J. Stroud, whether it be Bryce Young, and I don't want to hear about his size. The young man, I believe, can play, or be Anthony Richardson. No, I did not say Will Levis because they are thinking that they can get an edge rusher at number 2 and then get somebody like a Will Levis, who is dropping in the draft reportedly, down at number 12, or use that number 12 pick to get a quarterback in the late rounds like Hendon Hooker or somebody like that. Keep it simple, stupid. Get one of them quarterbacks. If the Carolina Panthers take C.J. Stroud, you take Bryce Young. If the Carolina Panthers take Bryce Young, you take C.J. Stroud. If you don't want Bryce Young, then you take Anthony Richardson. But do not bring in Will Levis. I'm sorry. We've seen him before. We've seen him as David Carr. We've seen him as Matt Schaub. We've seen him as, Tom Savage. We've seen him as Davis Mills. We've seen Will Levis. We don't need Will. The fans deserve better. So, Nick Caserio, we don't know if you can build a franchise yet. You've never done that. You didn't do it in New England. You haven't done it here. So if you mess this one up, we're going to start calling for your neck. That's my freestyle for tonight.
Nice. Well, for mine, I'm going to go just a little bit higher. And I'm going to talk from the top down. All right. We've talked about the GMs and how they do things as far as these players. We've talked about free agency and how they've spent their money. We talked about the individual franchises and the people running those day-to-day operations. But we're not talking about the hierarchy of the league, right? The NFL has a problem. And it starts at the top, right? We keep talking about owners and owners this and owners that, and they do this and they do that. Owners have a problem because it shows in the diversity of their hiring. Okay, that you trust, but you're not doing it by the guys that are really, really good at what they do. And I'm not saying that some of these hires aren't guys that are good at what they do, but they're getting opportunities based on circles that they're in. Well, that was challenged in many places, right? We're seeing it last couple of weeks with the NFL Network, with Jim Trotter's release. Okay, when he called out Goodell at the Super Bowl about NFL Network, the hierarchy. Okay, you got all these black analysts and black players and former black players working there, but you don't have too many hosts. You don't have too many guys in that control room running the show of minority descent. Okay, you don't have any people of decision-making power of minority descent. All your black talent is running around in suits on a sideline in a studio, and they're not even the hosts. When he called Goodell out about that, he gave him the corporate answer, and then when it came contract time, they remembered. That's a problem because now it's playing out right in front of everybody's faces. And if you didn't notice today, this time it's not even about a minority, but today, what do you get? Out of Arizona, of all places, former VP Terry McDonough accuses Michael Bidwell, of cheating. Your former VP is the one accusing you, not your head coach, not a player. It's coming from inside the room. The guy that was in the circle. Okay. There is a problem, and it starts at the top. Okay. You're going to do dirt. You're going to cover it up and think that somebody's not eventually going to say something. Somebody's going to say something. So your business practices, you have an owner basically being chased out of Washington because of his bad business practices. You already chased one out of Carolina because of his bad business practices, right? So at some point, it starts at the top, whether it's the commissioner, whether it's the owners, whether it's the executives at the network. This is not a pretty sight right now. If you're a fan, you want to focus on your team getting better. You don't want to focus on stuff going on with the owners of all people. These guys supposed to be having meetings trying to make football better, make their teams better, not talking about stuff going on. And like I said, for it to happen this time, it's not about a minority. It's a guy that was in the room. The most impactful, one of the most memorable songs and lines from Hamilton is "I want to be in the room," right? I want to be in the room. I want to be in the decision-making room. Here's a dude in the decision-making room telling you the owner's a cheater. How about that? All of a sudden, a guy that was there is telling circles dirty. Wow. So NFL's got a problem. Okay. You want an image problem? Yes, because you keep letting the dirt out the room and you keep doing the dirt, first of all. Okay. If you're going to clean house properly. Just don't sweep it under the rug. Somebody eventually looks under there. And that's where we're at the NFL right now. We're going to get to the draft. People are going to forget about this report, and it'll come back up something else. Jim Trotter will still be around. I'm trying to get him to come on the show and hang out with us for a little while. I would love to have him on. Great guy. That's going to stick around for a while. Deservedly so. He's a good reporter. He should still be working there. It shouldn't be because he questioned you about a very real situation that all of a sudden you're not comfortable with him being there. That's absolutely wrong, and you deserve every bit of the egg that hits you in the face. Okay? It is what it is. When you do dirt, you get dirt. Well, you're dirty right now in the NFL, right? And it's because you're doing this whole Lamar Jackson situation is dirty, okay? Like, because you know what? You paid Flacco, you paid Kirk Cousins all that guaranteed money, and hell, Watson got his money with all the stuff that happened. Pay the man. You're playing games. They always come back. They always come back. It is what it is. There's no way of avoiding it. There's cause and effect. You keep doing stuff, eventually it comes back at you. And it's about time that they stop playing these games. You fix things the right way. Stop throwing out slogans and painting things on helmets and end zones, thinking it cures the problems. Don't sit down with people and have these summits that go absolutely nowhere. Don't come up with all these causes and commercials that go absolutely nowhere, and still hire the same people and still have all these people running around in executive positions that because they're somebody's cousin, brother, aunt, wife, whatever they are, they hire people on resume, not on name, not on circle, and things will get a lot better. Clean up your house, and you don't have this kind of dirt coming out. That's my perspective this week.
That's good stuff, brother. That's good stuff right there. That's you talk. I talk now, brother. I like that.
it is what it is. Listen, yeah. I have loved the NFL since I was 4 years old. I saw the game of football. There's a reason why my favorite team is my favorite team. I fell in love with it at first sight, and I've always been football's always been in my DNA. So to have the league that you've watched and adored for so many years come out and you think, in the beginning, we were I was born in 76. So that wasn't far removed from the civil rights movement. So there was still going to be leftovers from that era. Okay. That's understandable. We're in 2023. The fact that we still have issues with hiring, the fact that we have all these ridiculous fellowships for minority hiring, and we still can't get it right. You know, it's gotten beyond old.
Yep.
And that good old boy network needs to, because it's not just the NFL, it's in college.
Yeah.
It's in college too. I've encountered it. And as part of the Minority Coaches Coalition, you know, we talk about it, but it's frustrating as hell to keep hearing, keep your chin up, right?
Yeah.
You bust your tail. People you work with say, why are you not doing this? Well, you tell me. Right?
Yeah.
Why are you? Well, you tell me. People hire who they want to hire. They don't hire who's really good at what they do. And there are times that they do. There's times you go, man, that guy's really good. He deserves to be there. There's times you go, how the hell did this guy get this job? When a guy gets fired one week and hired right away 3 days later, unless he was fired because the head coach got fired. Okay, when the head coach is still there and the guy got fired by the head coach, I need to save my job, and you're part of the reason why I got to save my job. I got to fire you. And he goes and turns around and ends up on somebody else's staff 3 days later when there's a guy that can't get a job.
Right. Yeah, I'm of the belief I need him to stop putting it in the end zone. I need him to stop putting it on the little tag at the back of the helmet and put it in your office. Put it in your front office. Look, make a space for one of these brothers that you're talking about. Stop this, stop that, love each other, and all that. Quit talking about it and do something about it. And for them to let Jim Trotter go the way that they did, man, it's egregious. It's egregious. It's time, man. Something's got to change. Something has to change.
Absolutely. And I'll say this. I'm gonna drop his name. I know he's probably gonna go, but my scouting mentor was former Scout of the Year in the NFL, first Power Scout of the Year. He was in the league for 30 years, 20-something with the Cardinals, Jerry Hardaway. You know, and there's times I go on the road and I'm talking to people and they say, you know, Jerry's around. I hope you should say hi sometime. They go, Jerry? Oh, you talk to Jerry? Yeah. Isn't he retired? When does that ever stop somebody? Right? I look at all these coaches who say, oh, I'm retiring.
Yeah.
They pop up again, right?
Yeah.
Tom Moore down here in Tampa. Tom Moore's retired at least 3, 4, 5 times.
At least, yeah.
Right. But yet here he is getting another award here in Tampa. When does retired ever stop people from coming for somebody that they really want?
Right.
Like Bill Parcells retired. Somebody always brought him back, didn't they?
Yep.
So if you really wanted a guy, you'd call him up. What's the difference with going on saying, hey, really retired? Would you see they say yes? Nobody's opposed to working unless they really just don't want nothing to do with football anymore. And those people you can tell. But if you go, oh, he's retired. Oh, yeah. But when you find out they're out there doing something and go, oh, you could have had him. And then you go bring in the guy who you could have had, the guy that we're talking about, but you bring in a guy just because he's in the circle.
Right.
And I'm not talking about skin color because there's some dudes of our complexion that are in the circle and they do anything to stay in that circle.
Come on.
They will turn over any stone to stay in that circle, and they will throw anybody in front of a bus to stay in said circle. There's nothing wrong with keeping a job and self-preservation, but you don't do people dirty just to keep your own skin safe. And that's what happens with a lot of people. So that's why I kind of, I kind of really, for lack of a better term, it burns my biscuits. Okay. When I say that, that's what, because that's where it really becomes, well, we're doing it to our own. Why should they respect us?
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm looking at guys getting second chances and third chances and fourth chances and fifth chances. and guys who haven't done anything wrong or have had much more success are getting no chances. You just got to work your way up. Maybe go down to college. Well, wait a minute. Why I gotta? I've been here all this time, and now I got to go down to college to prove myself. Nothing wrong with the college level, but it's always a different criteria. It's always one more thing for some,
an extra hurdle.
Not the case for others. Yeah.
An extra hurdle for what?
Yeah.
Why should you get less hurdles than me?
Right.
And I say that about these internships. These internships have qualifications that up here. You have to have this. There are coaches in the league who don't have half that stuff.
Right.
They're there because they were in the circle. Whether it's by birth or by association. So why do you, for an internship, do I have to be 3 times above reproach? Why can't you just look at my resume and go, his qualifications are impressive, he deserves a chance? No. Why do I need a sponsor? This isn't Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
This is we're talking about employment. You don't fill out any job application, submit your resume, and go, okay, well, here's my sponsor. If they want to check your references, they check your references, but they don't ask for, you don't have to have somebody sponsoring you to get the job.
Correct.
Your qualifications speak for themselves. That's not the way we're doing things. We don't even post coaching jobs for people to see, because we don't want people we don't know. We want people who we know. Well, absolutely. That's part of the problem. It's part of the problem. That's why you have this. That's why you have the issue you have.
That's true.
So, 2 weeks. We're back in 2 weeks.
All right.
And hopefully we'll have the whole crew together.
All right.
I know Joe will be back. I know Phil got tied up, but Phil will be back. And
Phil signed the job with somebody. Phil signed somebody's contract. He's been named to something right now.
Listen, and if he hasn't, he's another one of the people I said should be somewhere.
Should be somewhere.
He should be somewhere. Why is he here?
Yes, sir.
Why is he here? I gladly name drop him. When I see people, I got a D-line coach for you if you're looking for one. I work with him I work with him on the show. Got a Super Bowl ring. Why wouldn't you hire him?
I was gonna say a darn good one.
Yeah. Right. He knows what he's talking about.
Right.
We had him on the draft show a couple weeks ago. I had a great time. Great time talking D-line with Phil. So but man, this is I must say been great since I joined the platform. Other perspective. Glad having you on, and listen, I can't wait to be back in 2 weeks talking more. Hopefully, it'll be right before the draft, be the week before the draft. So we'll have a little draft talk in there. I don't know how much free agency talk we'll have because it's been real slow, and it kind of gets slow around this point.
Right. Yeah. Because some people are holding their cards until draft day because that's that ace in the hole. That's the joker. So, right.
So we finally trying to get those last couple of spots in. But with that being said, it's time to say night, Barnes. That is Mr. AJ Jones, and we will be back in 2 weeks with more of the perspective with the whole crew. Joe Cardozo will be back. Philip Daniels will be back. If not, we'll send out a search party for him. See you in 2 weeks, folks. Take care. Have a great night.
Good night.